For those of you who think mysterious creatures are nothing but a myth, this clip might make you think twice. On a quiet island in Thailand, something truly unusual was spotted emerging from the water. At first glance, it might seem like an ordinary mammal, a seal, or perhaps a large otter. But as it stepped further onto land, the details became unnervingly strange. Its entire body was covered in thick, matted fur, unlike anything local to the area. What's even stranger is how it moved. While it mostly walked upright on two legs, it seemed to rely on its long, fur-covered arms for balance, occasionally touching the ground for support. It's an unsettling sight, watching this unknown creature navigate the shoreline before disappearing into the nearby jungle. What could it be? Imagine riding through a dense forest with your friends, expecting nothing more than an adventure. That's exactly what these bikers thought, until they encountered something they'll never forget. Deep in a forest in Indonesia, a small but fast-moving creature darted across their path. The footage shows one of the bikers crashing into it and falling, but what happened next is even more unbelievable. The creature stood briefly before sprinting into the bush. Its movements were alarmingly quick, almost unnatural, as though it didn't belong to this world. Looking closely at the clip, you can see it had two legs and a form that vaguely resembles an alien. The bikers tried searching for it but found no tracks, no sound, no sign of where it went. Did it vanish into thin air? Sometimes, nature shows us things that defy explanation, and this discovery is one of them. A group of tourists stumbled upon a bizarre carcass in a remote area.
It looks like it just died.
At first, they thought it was just another dead animal, but as they got closer, they realized it was something entirely different. Its long tongue hung out disgustingly from its mouth, and its sharp, jagged teeth gave it an almost menacing look, even in death.
Like it. Jesus, man. Oh, dude. It's heavy. It's like a stamp on it.
Its tail was equally strange, thick and ridged in a way no known animal's tail should be. It didn't match the description of any creature these tourists or even local guides had ever seen. Theories range from deep-sea creatures to extraterrestrial animals, but no one can seem to identify it. Whatever it was, it's definitely not something you'd want to encounter alive. If you're someone who loves watching the night sky, this footage might leave you more confused than amazed. This happened in Maitland around 10 p.m. when strange blue lights began shooting down from the sky. At first, it looked like a meteor shower, but the way the lights moved wasn't natural at all. They seemed to flash in precise patterns, moving through the sky before vanishing as suddenly as they appeared. Some people have suggested it was part of a concert or some sort of light display, but witnesses say there was no sound, no music, no fireworks, just these eerie, glowing beams. Others believe it could have been something more ominous, like an alien spacecraft testing its technology. Whatever it was, it left people staring up at the sky in stunned silence. There are few things more unsettling than hearing strange noises in the dead of night. This man, however, had been hearing them for weeks. It was a low, guttural sound coming from the woods near his home. Finally, fed up and determined to find the source, he decided to investigate. Armed with nothing but a flashlight, he ventured into the dark forest. The closer he got, the louder and more terrifying the noises became. They sounded like a wounded animal hanging on a tree, but with a tone that seemed almost human. As he got closer, the sound suddenly changed, a deep, bone-chilling roar that sent him running back to safety. Even in the safety of his home, the echoes of those sounds stayed with him, making him wonder what kind of creature could make such terrifying noises. You might think you've seen all kinds of venomous snakes, but this one will completely change your perception. Known as the mole viper, this snake is not only highly venomous, but incredibly sensitive. It's so alert that even the slightest attempt to touch it causes it to coil up tightly, almost like it's preparing for a fight. In the footage, you can see how it wraps itself protectively, making it nearly impossible to handle. Its movements are deliberate, almost calculated, as though it knows exactly how to keep predators and humans at bay. Watching it is both mesmerizing and unsettling, because you can feel its intensity even through the screen. This isn't a snake you'd want to encounter in the wild. Here's something that will leave you scratching your head. This man was just cleaning up some water when something strange happened. As his mop touched the puddle, the water suddenly began to move on its own, swirling in perfect circles. Here's the weirdest part. It seemed to be reacting to a flower nearby, as if some invisible force was controlling it. The swirling wasn't random. It was smooth, consistent, and completely unnatural. The man's confusion is clear as he tries to figure out what's causing this bizarre phenomenon. Is it some kind of energy field, or could it be a natural occurrence that we just don't understand yet? Either way, it's one of those moments that makes you question what's really possible. If you've ever doubted the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena, this video might just change your mind. It shows what looks like an irregular, almost organic object floating in the sky. At first, you might think it's just a balloon, but then it starts moving in ways that defy explanation. It changes direction, slows down, and even comes to a complete stop mid-air. The movements are deliberate and controlled, as if it's being piloted by something or someone. Balloons don't behave like this, and neither do drones. The way it hovers before slowly drifting away leaves you with more questions than answers. Could it really be something out of this world, or is there a more rational explanation we haven't figured out yet? This footage, captured deep in the woods, is unlike anything you've seen before. It shows a massive creature, hunched over and moving slowly, as if it's both tired and hungry. Its body is enormous, far bigger than any human, with a structure that seems almost otherworldly. Some people believe it could be one of the Nephilim, a giant from ancient mythology. What makes this even more chilling is how it disappears the moment it notices a person nearby. One second it's there, and the next it's gone without a trace. The brief glimpse we get of it is enough to send shivers down your spine because it feels like something out of a nightmare. Whatever it is, it's not something you'd want to come face to face with. This is one of the strangest things ever caught on camera. What looks like a regular puff-faced water snake is actually covered in algae, making it look like it's wearing a feather boa. The algae seem to have grown all over its body, likely because the snake remained completely still for an extended period. This is incredibly rare, as water snakes usually shed their skin every few weeks. Experts believe the algae will come off with the snake's next shed, but for now, it's a sight to behold. The green growth gives it an eerie, almost mythical appearance, like something out of a fantasy story. It's unclear why this particular snake ended up like this, but it's definitely one of the most unusual things you'll ever see in the wild. This is one of those sights that's hard to believe even when you see it. A massive flock of starlings swooped low over the streets, moving in perfect harmony. This breathtaking phenomenon is called a murmuration, and it's something that feels almost magical. In the footage, you can see the birds dipping and weaving together, creating waves in the sky as if they're all connected by an invisible string. What's amazing is how close they fly to one another, their wings nearly touching, and yet not a single one crashes. They react within milliseconds, copying the movement of the bird ahead of them with such precision that it creates a ripple effect visible from far away. Scientists have been baffled for years, trying to understand how they process and react so quickly. Sadly, this kind of murmuration is becoming rare, especially in the UK, because these birds are losing their nesting spots. Watching this is like witnessing a living, breathing piece of art, but it also feels like a glimpse of something we might not see much longer. This strange clip comes from a quiet neighborhood and has left people questioning the boundaries between the physical and the paranormal. The CCTV footage shows a bike propped against a wall, motionless at first when suddenly it begins to move on its own. At first, it seems like the wind might be to blame, but the way the bike rolls forward doesn't look random. It moves with purpose, as if an unseen force is guiding it. And just as you're trying to make sense of what's happening, the bike tips over, almost as if whatever was controlling it gave up. Some people have suggested it could be a ghost trying to ride the bike, while others are looking for a more logical explanation. Whatever the case, it's one of those moments that makes you question what might be lurking just beyond the visible world. This footage will leave you absolutely stunned. In the aftermath of Australia's 2021 floods, entire stretches of the countryside were blanketed in massive spiderwebs. The scale of it is hard to comprehend until you see it for yourself. These webs stretched across fields, snows, and trees, creating a ghostly silken landscape that looked straight out of a horror movie. What's even more unnerving is that these webs weren't the work of a single spider, but thousands of them working together, spinning their silk as they climbed higher to escape the rising floodwaters. The sight is both beautiful and terrifying. Imagine walking through a place where every step could mean brushing against one of these sticky, intricate webs, with countless spiders hiding just out of sight. This is nature at its most extreme, showing both its resilience and its power to unsettle us in ways we never expect. This unusual sight had people stopping in their tracks and looking up at the sky in awe.
Это просто жесть! Блять, стоять даже страшно будет сейчас. Охренеть просто! Он летит, эта туча, моментально. Будем надеяться, наши громотводы сработают. Меня тут не прибьет через эти окна. Просто охренеть. Такого я не видел еще в своей жизни морской. Такой красоты.
What appeared to be an Arcus cloud, or a roll cloud, stretched across the horizon like a massive, rolling wave. The formation was so perfectly smooth and cylindrical that it looked almost artificial, like something out of a science fiction movie. Roll clouds are rare, and usually form when a cold front moves into a warm, moist area, creating the perfect conditions for this type of atmospheric phenomenon. But even knowing the science behind it doesn't make it any less unusual. The way it hovered, so low and dense, gave it an otherworldly feel, as if it was something alive, slowly moving across the sky. It's one of those natural events that reminds you how small we are compared to the forces of nature. This footage from the Canadian wilderness has left people everywhere on edge. It shows what appears to be a 6-foot-tall creature, eerily faceless, stalking a moose. The creature moves slowly, almost cautiously, as if it's studying the animal. Its body looks human-like, but there's something distinctly off about it. The way it moves, its unnaturally smooth skin, and the haunting lack of a face. The moose seems unaware of its stalker, which only makes the situation more unsettling. The video cuts off before anything else happens, leaving viewers with more questions than answers. Is this some kind of unknown predator, a trick of the camera, or something entirely beyond our understanding? Whatever it is, the sight of that faceless figure has sparked fear and fascination, spreading like wildfire across the internet.